first of all, the principle is that we empathize with characters whose humanity echoes of our own. And so, but humanity, when I say a thing like that, I mean humanity is a universe of things. And so, and half of humanity is dark and negative. The other half is positive. And so you need to dramatize in the nature of that character some positive aspect of their humanity, what in lecture we call the center of good. The positive quality of humanity that the audience can recognize as like themselves, and having recognized that, they then identify with the protagonist. What that particular quality is, who can say? It could be generosity, it could be perseverance, it could be courage, it could be love, it could be intelligence, it could be a sense of humor, a sense of irony. I mean, on it goes. Like the list is endless. What you need not to do, of course, is somehow break that bond during the telling of the story, so that you can't get it back. You can test it. I mean, you can have a person who's empathetic. We often do this with gangster heroes. Tony Soprano is a human being. I mean, we empathize with Tony Soprano because we see him struggling. He's lost, basically, and he's trying to survive, trying to somehow do the right thing, whatever the right thing may be. But he's very confused about what the right things are because he's a violent character. But somehow we recognized his humanity, and the David Chase had to be careful that he never took Tony so far into the darkness that there would be no bringing him back, and so he always somehow balanced or tried to Tony's negative actions, and God knows he killed people. He was very brutal and very violent. But he always kept it balanced with Tony's confusion. I mean, Tony is lost in the same way we all are. He's struggling to try to figure out himself and try to figure out life. And every time he did something terrible, there would always be followed by this moment of introspection where Tony's trying to make sense out of things. And so it was a beautiful balance between empathy on one hand and antipathy on the other. But never, ever going so far that we utterly lost empathy. And so beyond that, you've got to somehow preserve empathy, no matter how far you go in the other direction. What you don't want to do is just throw that utterly away. Although there are stories where at the very end of the story, empathy is finally utterly thrown away. A famous film with Paul Newman called HUD, in which he's an empathetic guy, problem guy, but basically empathetic until the very end of the story, and then ultimately he is such a lost soul and so cold and so self-centered that we abandon him, and our empathy moves at the very end to his little brother, and that's the end of the movie. And so all you have to establish empathy and just make sure that you don't ever abandon the empathy unless, as in HUD, it's the very last moment of the film.